Our call to worship is from an unknown source, but it's a good one. It is good. It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is good to be here together. It is good to be here together today. Welcome. Let us worship together. Brendan has our chalice lighting.
Our words this morning are by Melanie Davis. Under the right circumstances, playing with fire is a delight. Imagine being gathered round a fire pit as the crackling flames invite us to sing, dance, and roast a marshmallow or two. Our chalice also invites us to play, although with ideas rather than with marshmallows. The flame encourages us to explore who we are, who our neighbors are, and where we are on our spiritual journeys. Today, we light this chalice in the spirit of play. Let us trust the light to guide us in this hour and in the days to come, finding joy along the way. Now let's all join together in our chalice lighting response. O flame of our faith, open our hearts and fill our bodies and souls with persistent strength. Enliven our spirits and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now. And please stand as you are able to join us in hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Sweetness of the wheat garden, sprung in completeness, where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
For our wisdom story this morning, we have a Mad Libs. So this is a Mad Libs service, and we're going to do a spin-off of that in the sermon. But this is an actual honest-for-goodness Mad Libs. You know, remember those games come in the little flip chart, you brainstorm some words, and then they fill in and end up being very silly. So we're going to do that, except I made it up using what would have been the reading for the sermon. So this is from a reading by Stephanie Trudell entitled Being a Work in Progress. So just shout out. How about an adjective? Free? Green. Green. Let's go with green, because we want to get real silly here. Happy was good, but it's too close to the real one. Another adjective. Dewy. And 2 nouns. Elephant and circus. Great. Noun. Flag. Flag. All right. You gotta like really articulate. It's hard to hear it. Articulate and shout it. Another noun. Rhododendron, houseboats, and piano. State of being. Does that bliss? Great. Something else, similar or super different from bliss. Free fall? Did I get you right? Free fall. Great. Great. How about activities? Pickleball. Excellent. How about a noun? That's really nice. I'm not sure if it's going to be too close to the real one. Also, ditto. Camel. Great. Eagle. All right. Good. A noun. We'll go. Eagle. We'll go with eagle. Several verbs. What were some other ones? We need more. This is a very nouny, very verby section of our reading. Tripping? All right. How about another noun? Say that one louder. Tilling. Tilling. Good. How about one adjective and one last verb? So adjective. Happy. Good. And one last verb. Swim? I think we got swim in there already. Snore. That's great. That's excellent. All right, so our reading today entitled Being a Work in Progress. Being a work in progress is diametrically opposed to being green. Being green is rigid and dewy. It offers no flexibility, no wiggle room. It puts people in neat circuses with elephants that oftentimes do not fit. Good morning and welcome, and since this is a weird moment, I want to let you know that we just did a Mad Libs together, and I'm reading the resultant story. So being a work in progress is really the opposite of being green. Being green offers no wiggle room, and it puts people in neat little circuses with elephants that oftentimes do not fit. Being green does not allow for a diversity of flags. Green doesn't care about the process, only rhododendrons and houseboats and pianos. Green stifles bliss and impedes free fall. Green is judgmental and closed off. But one size does not fit all, especially when it comes to matters of pickleball and eating, or lawn mowing. Unitarian Universalism understands this and offers an alternative. So instead of being green, Unitarian Universalism offers, here are two things that we're not going to stick with because they were too close, but I'm going to read them because they're good. We offer that instead you can be a song or a chalice. Yeah, that's nice, right? But for the sake of silliness, we're going to go with Unitarian Universalism offers that you can be a camel. When you are a camel, you are allowed to breathe and move. You can explore and stretch yourself in new ways, perhaps especially your neck or your humps. You are enriched by the symphony of eagle that cooks you and bikes you. You can fly and trip and vote freely for what is most meaningful for you. You can come to find others who may have a much different story, but who are also skiing and jumping. Perhaps that is a place where you find roadkill. You know that mistakes are not mistakes, except for roadkill, but an opportunity to till the garden. Oh, that worked really well. Nicely done. You see the value in the process, secure in the knowledge that it is the journey that matters. When you are a camel, you realize how happy this world is and that there is much to learn. You snore and know that that is enough. So Good. With apologies to Stephanie Trudell, here's what she actually wrote. Being a work in progress is diametrically opposed to being perfect. Being perfect is rigid and unyielding. It offers no flexibility, no wiggle room. It puts people in neat little boxes with labels that oftentimes do not fit. Perfect doesn't allow for a diversity of opinion. Perfect doesn't care about the process, only the product. Perfect stifles creativity and impedes understanding. Perfect is judgmental and closed off. But one size does not fit all, especially when it comes to matters of religion and faith. Unitarian Universalism understands this and offers an alternative. When you are a work in progress, you are able to breathe and move. You can explore and stretch yourself in new ways. You're enriched by the symphony of life that surrounds you and fills you. You can question, ponder, and search freely for what is most meaningful for you. You can come to find others who may have a much different story, but who are also seeking and searching. Perhaps that is a place where you find meaning. You know that mistakes are not mistakes, but opportunities to learn what to do next time. You see value in the process, secure in the knowledge that it is the journey that matters. When you are a work in progress, you realize how vast this world is and how much there is to learn. You do your best and know that that is enough. Here ends our real reading. Thank you. So now is the time for our Mad Libs sermon. This is inspired by the structure of a Mad Libs in that I've got an outline for us, and we will all work together to fill in the details. So how this works is that I will say a few words, and then I'll ask a question. Give you a moment for reflection, and then invite anybody who wants to share to do so. You can just raise your hand if you're in the room, and I'll come and bring the mic to you so you can share aloud, which will go to Zoom and YouTube later. So just, titrate your sharing a little bit. And if you're online, I invite you to share your stories in the comments and read and rejoice in what each other has to say. So, to start us off, and this one, you don't need to raise your hand, just shout it out. What are some of the first words or feelings in your body that come up when you hear the word creativity? Excitement, lightness, lightning, challenge, colors, freedom, practice, play, fresh air. Those are all great words. I wondered if some of you might say something like tentativity, or maybe what I should say is, those are all great things. And who has a really easy time just letting go and being creative? I do when I'm in the right mood. And who has a hard time letting go and just being creative, doing what you want? I do when I get worried about it, when I get in my own way. So for those of us for whom it can feel hard to let go and be creative, I want to reflect on that for just a moment. Ralph Waldo Emerson has said that the two terrors that discourage creativity and creative living are the fear of public opinion and undue reverence for one's own consistency. I think that undue reverence for one's own consistency speaks a lot to the perfectionism that we talked about in our reading and our wisdom story. Thinking that we're not good enough at singing or making art or dancing or whatever our creative impulse is, and stopping ourselves before we even start. So if that's ever gotten in your way, I want to share a gift that my friend gave me recently. This is an artistic license. By carrying this license, you are entitled to carry out acts of artistic license with peace and no disturbance from any authorities. Show this card if needed when carrying out acts of art, and refer any disputes to the cultural artistic licensing body. I hereby officially share this artistic license with you all and empower you to the same privileges to which this card entitles us.
You get that at Walmart or Amazon?
You got it somewhere. So now that we all have our creative and artistic license, let's get more into where it can lead us. Elizabeth Gilbert says that a creative life is any life where somebody consistently follows their curiosity more than their fear. Those times when we let ourselves feel curious and follow that curiosity are times when we feel free. And that's when we can tap into our deepest desires. Outer limits, the perfectionism, whoever it was who told you you couldn't do it, those fall away. The inner limits too, they fall away. Our inner critics quiet down. And we're left with what is essential. And that, I think, is the doorway to creativity. Imani Perry, writing for her sons about life as a black woman, and for them who will grow up presumably to be black men, meaning like They could be non-binary, right? Or trans. But as she writes to them, she envisions they're likely to be cis. She says, take the time to strip yourself down to the core, to the simplest of joys. What if you dream your life but remove all money moves, all contingent material fantasies, and just fill it with connection and grace and rituals? How would it be? What would it look like? That isn't an ascetic's dream so much as a gospel of living in the along. It is a ritual of reorientation, a steadying, a sense of grace. It might not be enough, but it is something. And the fact is, if you get desire right, you will probably get love right too. So I have 2 prompts. You can pick whichever one feels like the right one for you. The first is, what is it that your heart loves to do? Or what do you most want to do or make or be? What is it that your heart loves to do or you want to most do or make or be? The other question is, where or when have you been able to follow your curiosity and be just free to be yourself? So who would like to share just a brief story on either of those prompts, or a brief response to either of those prompts? If you raise your hand, I will bring the mic around. What do you want to do? What do you love to do? When have you felt free?
What my heart wants to do, connect.
Do you want to share?
I think the same answer for both. I want to swim in the ocean, and I feel free when I'm swimming in the ocean.
Yeah, we don't always think about swimming as creative, but you have to talk with the waves and all the tides, and I think it is.
I love to do gymnastics.
I love to do gymnastics too. It's so fun and playful and creative. Thank you for sharing. Maybe one more, or are we good? Sarah, did you want to?
I love to move. I love to dance. I like to feel what it feels like to move through the air, through the space. And I haven't been doing it enough, I realize. So yes, I like to do that. And I also like to explore the insides of other people, to understand that, and maybe as a character or whatever. But, yeah.
Thanks, Sarah.
There have been a very few times when I've sat down with nothing at all in my head, to write, and have no preconceptions of any kind, and feel like I'm a tube or a channel of some sort, and some words come out, and I look at them later, and I like them.
Yeah, sometimes that creativity comes with intention, and sometimes it feels like something just comes to us. Something just comes to us. Yeah. So whether it's gymnastics or swimming in the ocean or movement or words, something that hasn't been named, creativity ultimately leads us from our own pursuits to building a better world together. And here's how. When we tap into what we love, that includes, I think it makes our hearts and our bodies and our minds just feel bigger and brighter. And then for myself, I often want that for other people too. I want all of us to have that joy and freedom and creativity that I feel. I want everyone to be free to create and contribute freely to our shared world. Sharon Welch, who's a Unitarian Universalist theologian and teacher, puts it this way, and ethicist. She says, "The wellspring of decency is loving this life in which people die, people suffer, there are limits, and we make mistakes. The wellspring of moral action is not utopia, not a vision or declaration that the world could or should be otherwise, but rather a deep affirmation of the joy, richness, and blessing that the world is already. The ground of challenging exploitation, injustice, and oppression is not a vision of how the world could be or will be in the future reign of God or after the revolution. The ground of challenging injustice is gratitude, the heartfelt desire to honor the wonder of what life is, to cherish, to celebrate, and to delight in the many gifts and joys of life." So our next question is, from what you love, what do you want for our world? Yeah, freedom, tolerance, peace, clean ocean, kindness, yeah. Forgiveness. Reverend Marcus Liefert ties together that personal and that political, that inner creative hearts, our love for life, and our collective creative power in this poem, which brings us towards the end of our sermon. Marcus writes, "Oh, you who are makers of beauty, of paintings and pottery and sculpture, blessed is the making. You who make with hands and hearts and minds, who make out of breath and bones and blood human lives, blessed are the makers. Blessed are those who make us laugh, who make jokes and faces and toys. Blessed are those who make messes, who make trouble and friends, and when needed, make up. Blessed are those who make do, who make it last, make it work, make beds, and make time for others. Blessed are those who make love, who make out and make more and make mistakes. Blessed are those who make coffee and tea, who make conversation, who make meaning in the face of tragedy, who make merriment and awaken joy. Blessed are those who make peace, for they shall inherit the earth." And I close our time with this blessing. May you go forward with a greater sense of freedom and curiosity, more easily able to strip away what is not essential and tap into the true desires of your heart, with vision for the better world that we can create together. Amen, and blessed be.